Well, thank you for being here this afternoon. It always amazes me just how many teachers from around the world are connected at this very moment in time via this webinar. I'm honoured to be sharing this experience with you, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So, I asked you while you were waiting if you could get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil ready, and I think most of you have got those things. If you just joined and you haven't, if you can grab them at some point, okay? So in this webinar, what I'm going to explore is the technique or the techniques of spotting. Spotting, noticing, I believe, is a very useful habit to have and one to encourage our students to develop and to use when they're learning English, when they're learning new words, new grammar, new information, not just in English actually, and also when they're taking English tests. We're going to be considering the Cambridge English Young Learners tests this afternoon in the webinar. And it's with reference particularly to the new tasks that will be coming in next year in 2018 that I'll be sharing ideas to develop useful skills and to get them to spot things when they're doing those tasks. So today in this webinar, I'm also going to test your spotting skills. And at this point, I'd like to mention that I'm going to work through several of the activities as if you were my students. This is because I want you to experience the activities as your students would. To start with, I'm going to show you a picture from Fun for Starters. This is from the 4th edition, which is out now, but is especially relevant as from next year for 2018, which is when the tests will change. So I'm going to show you this picture just for a short time, and then I'll hide it. And I want you to try and remember as much as you can about the picture. You ready? Okay, so have a look at this picture and see what you can spot in the picture. Okay, you ready? 3, 2, 1, and it's gone. Now I'm going to ask you some questions about the picture you saw. Please type your answers into the chat box. How many people are there in the picture? Okay, yes, there are 7. And of the 7 people, how many of them are girls? How many girls are there? We seem to have some slight differences of opinion here. We've got 3 and we've got 4 and we've got 5. Okay, right. I suppose in relation to what you just typed for the girls, how many boys are there in the picture? Okay. Do you want to just check your answers there? So we have 7 children. And 4 of them are girls and 3 of them are boys. Okay. Now, another question. Some of the children are holding things. How many of the children are holding things? Okay, just want to check your answers to that question. Okay, as you can see, I've just put the picture back up there. There are 5 of the children who have got something in their hands, who are holding things. What are the 5 children holding? What different things are they holding? Yeah, we've got a paintbrush, a ball, a kite, a book, and a car. Right, well done. Okay. So, as a lot of you remembered, there are 7 people in the picture. I think everybody got that one actually. There are 4 girls and there are 3 boys. 5 of the children are holding things. There's a boy with a ball and a second boy with a car. We can see a girl with a book, another girl with a paintbrush, and a third girl with a kite. We can train our students to spot details, similarities, and shared features in a scene picture. For example, how many people there are, how many of them are holding something or looking at something or playing with something. We can also train them to notice differences. For example, can you see the 2 girls who are sitting? Can you tell me 3 differences between these girls? And can you type your answers into the chat box, please? So 3 differences between the 2 girls who are sitting. Yeah, we've got different colour hair, straight and curly hair, their sweatshirts, their t-shirts. One's got short sleeves and the other's got long sleeves. Yeah, the colour that their ribbon is in their hair. Where they're sitting, yeah, one's sitting in the tree, the other's sitting on the grass under the tree. Okay, and the shoes, yeah, we've got again different coloured shoes, and possibly one is wearing shoes and one is wearing boots. Okay, so seeing differences in the picture, okay, and that's going to be very important in starters as from 2018, as we'll see in a minute. Okay, so in part 2 of the starters reading and writing test, students read sentences about a scene picture like the one we just saw. Some of the sentences are correct and some of them are wrong for the picture. Students write yes for correct sentences and no for sentences that are not correct. Up till now, this task was also used in part 2 of the Movers and Flyers reading and writing tests, but from 2018 it will not appear in those 2 tests, but it will still appear at starters level. Now, if we look at the examples, the first example is a yes sentence. One of the boys is sleeping, but the second sentence, there's something in the sentence which is wrong and makes it wrong for this picture. So which word in the second example is wrong for this picture? The girl in the tree has black hair. Yes. Okay, her hair isn't black, is it? It's brown. Now, read sentences 1 to 5. Which of the sentences here are no sentences? And why are they no sentences? Yeah, sentence 1, There are 4 apples, not 6. Sentence 3. Which word in sentence 3 makes it a wrong sentence? Yeah, sentence 3, we could either change the word in to outside, so the children are outside the house, or we could change the word house and we could say the children are in the garden. And number 5, yes, so some of you are typing here, the frog isn't on a book, the frog is on the grass, on the ground, in front of the girl, between the girl and the boy who's sleeping, okay, but it's not on a book. So what would happen if our students read the sentences too quickly and don't spot those little words like in, 6 and book? They'll probably get the answer wrong, won't they? So spotting little words in sentences when they're being tested like this is a very important thing to do. I hope you agree. Okay, let's go again back to this picture. Now, can you see that above and below the picture there are some words? What kind of words are these? Okay, they're names. Yeah, they're names, they're proper nouns. Names of people, yes. First names, yes. And what do you think it might be useful to spot about these names, to train our students to spot? Yes, Rob Barron, same here, gender. Okay, so yeah, which of these names can we use for girls and which can we use for boys? And which can we use for both, in fact? So if you look at these 7 names, which of the names could we use, we would use only for boys? Yes, probably Hugo and Ben would just be used for boys. And Mark too, yes. And Kim and Pat and Sam could be used for both. Yeah, and which one would only be used for a girl here? Yeah, Eva or Eva, as we say here in Spain. Okay, so this task is currently used both at movers and at flyers in the Young Learners tests. And as from 2018, this will also be the first task that students will do on the starters speaking test. Okay, so the starters listening will start with this task. Okay, so spotting that the fact that, sorry, I'm just turning down my microphone very slightly here. That's why I'm hesitating. So spotting which names can be girls and which names can be boys' names and which names can be both is a useful thing to do when students start to do this task. They can look at the picture and they can look at the names, and spotting which ones are girls and which ones are boys' names is a very useful thing to do to help them before they even start listening. Okay, so and at present, I'm sure you all know, at present this is the task that they get in Starters Part 1. So they get objects above and below the picture and they have to draw a line between the objects and a place in the picture. Okay, but this will no longer be the case in 2018. Okay, so back to our original picture. Okay, so if The task is going to be to draw a line between a name outside the picture and somebody in the picture, doing things like we've been doing, looking at how many people they are, where they are, what they're doing, what they're wearing, similarities and differences between them. I think that these are very useful things to spot and will help them when they're doing this task. So spotting here is really important even before they listen, as soon as they open their question paper in the starters test, and thinking about these things. And it's also obviously valid for movers and flyers too. Okay, so just to mention as well, there will be 1 or 2 new additions to the word lists for starters, movers and flyers as from next year. And Hugo is a new, and Eva are new names added to the word lists for next year. Okay, just an incidental piece of information. Right, let's move on now to a picture from movers. And this picture is for the new writing task, which will appear in the movers reading and writing test from 2018. It'll be the part 6 in the reading and writing test. So, what students have to do here, okay, again, I would train them to spot things about the picture. So thinking about what is in this picture, okay, and our questions from the first picture that we saw. How many people are in this picture? Okay, this time we've got 5, yeah? And we've got some animals like we had in the first picture too, okay? Which animals have we got here? We've got a parrot and a penguin, okay? And a penguin is also a new word for 2018. Okay, we also looked before at what people were wearing and what they were doing, okay? And this is also very important to train them to look for when they're doing the new task for movers. Okay. So in the movers writing task, the one which will appear as from next year, what candidates have to do, they have to complete 2 sentences about the picture, and they have to answer 2 questions about the picture. This is the first part of this task. So, as you can see in the example here, these people are at a circus. This has 1 word as the answer, which is absolutely fine. But maybe a stronger, inspired student might write a longer answer. Can you suggest a longer answer than this example? Can you type your suggestions into the type box? Into the chat box, sorry. Okay, some of you are typing for the second one, which is also fine. Okay. Yes, so we could have, very good, Inga, we could have a circus performance. We could have a new American circus, yes, Petra. And we could have these people are at a circus and having fun. Wow, Donna, that's a great one, that one. Okay, so students can, if they like, extend their answers and write more than 1 word. Okay, but 1 word is fine. And in the second example, as you can see, we've got 4 words. okay? And this is a great answer because it tells us that it's a tennis ball, not just a ball, and that it's green. Okay, so these are the two examples. Very important to point this out to your students, that one-word answers are fine and longer answers are fine too, okay? And this is what the two examples want to show, that both longer and shorter answers are fine. Okay, so we have our two examples, and then we get to complete the sentences for students to complete and to answer the questions to complete. Okay, Andrea, I can see you're asking me a question about mistakes. We'll take a note of that and we'll answer it later at the end of the webinar, okay? Okay, so suggestions. The parrot is standing on a racket, on a tennis racket, on its foot. Good one, that one. Okay, and the penguin is, we got black and white, etc. Okay, I'm going to show you some possible answers here, suggested answers, okay? And you can see that there's not just one right answer, okay? Even for maybe question one, we're a bit more limited to the answers we can write, but for complete the sentences two, we have a variety of possible completions. And definitely in the questions for their answers, students again can write longer or shorter answers, and they can write phrases or they can write complete sentences. Okay, so training our students to do this task and training them to think of ideas for things that they could write, I think is very important, okay? So the penguin, for example, they could write adjectives to describe the penguin's feelings, their opinions, and adjectives is one area that they can use to answer these questions, or complete the sentences, I should say. Sorry. They can use verbs in the ing form usually, okay, because they're describing what these, in this case, these animals are doing. And they can also talk about where they are, their position in the picture, or their position they're in this situation. Okay, so training students to use their imagination and to use the language that they know is an important part of training for them to do this task well, and I think to encourage them to use their language, use the language that they know, and use their imaginations. Okay, the next thing for this this task, okay, we've got the two examples, we've completed our sentences, we've answered the questions, and then they're then asked in the final part to write two sentences of their own about this picture. So training here, what to spot for me would involve for them to spot which things in the picture have already been talked about, either in the examples or in the complete the sentences or answer the questions. So here we've talked about the tennis ball. Which other things have we talked about? Yeah, we've talked about the parrot, the penguin, and we've talked about where the pirate is. Okay. And we've talked about the boy and what he's doing. So which of the things in the picture haven't been described? Okay, so let's spot the things that you haven't written about yet, and that is these two people here, the clown, the pool, and I would say the pirate, because we've only talked about the pirate in the sense of where he is in the picture. But we haven't talked about all these things that we could describe, what he's wearing, what he's doing. So we could write some good sentences about this pirate, couldn't we? Okay, so training students to notice which things have been described and which things have not been described will help them to decide what they can write about in the picture. So can you write 2 sentences about 2 of these things that I've circled here in the picture? You're right, Margaret, I haven't mentioned the car. Okay, so we've got some lovely sentences coming through here. The women are clapping, the clown is smiling, everyone's enjoying themselves, the children are having fun, the pool is deep. The 2 other people are watching the show. Okay, so basically your students can be as adventurous and as ambitious as possible. That's what I would encourage, okay? I would always say that we should encourage our students to be as imaginative as possible and to use their imagination. And if they do, then they will definitely be given credit for this in the Cambridge exam. Okay. So we're going to move on now to an activity. What I'm going to do is to ask you, each of you, to choose a letter. Can you choose A, B, C, D, E, or F? Okay, you don't need to tell us, okay, just choose a letter, okay? Thank you. Have you got your letter? Okay. So I'm going to share one of my all-time favourite picture activities. I've shown you part of a picture here, and as you can see, in the picture there's a sun. What time of day do you think it is, looking at this sun? Okay, for me it has to be a morning or midday sun because it's quite bright yellow, and I would say it's probably quite high up in the sky. Now in the picture, which part do you think it'll be in? Will it be at the top, the bottom, in the middle? Where do you think it would be? Okay, so yes, it's a sun, and if it's going to be a morning sun, it's probably going to be quite high up, and it'll be near the top of the picture. Okay, so you've all chosen a letter, yeah? So now what I'm going to ask you to do is to be very honest, and I'm going to tell you when to look at the screen. If I'm not talking about your letter, then your eyes should be closed. Yes? So if I say A, only the people who chose the letter A should be looking at the screen. If I say D, then it should only be the people who chose the letter D. So are you ready? Okay, everybody right now, can you close your eyes? Okay, and I'll tell you who can look next. So let's go. So A, it's your turn first. All the A's can look now. Thank you, A. It's time to shut your eyes again. C's, are you there? Here's your part of the picture, C. Right, time up for C's. Now close your eyes. If you chose the letter F, it's your turn to look. What can you see here, F? Okay, stop looking now, F. D, your part of the picture is on the screen. It's your moment, D. Take a good look. Okay, stop looking now, D. B, all those beautiful bees around the world. Look at your part of the picture, bees. Now go and can you go and close your eyes again, B. And last but not least, I haven't forgotten you, E's. Take a look at your part of the picture. Thank you, E. Okay, everybody, you can open your eyes again. Okay, and I'm going to ask you some questions. What was in your part of the picture? Where do you think it would be in the picture? Do you think it would be at the top, the bottom, on the left, or on the right of the picture? And what do you think the whole picture looks like? Okay, here is the whole picture. Is this the way you saw the picture? Okay, so we've got yes, almost, no, kind of. Okay, that's the idea. In class, what I would do is either give the parts of the picture out physically to the students, or I'd show them like I'm doing now with you on the screen and get them to turn their backs to the board or to the screen and only turn around when it's their part of the picture. If you'd like to use this in class, then you can download this picture as part of the Fun for Starters resources from the website. And you've got the parts of the picture and the big picture. Okay, we're going to move on now to the new task in Flyers Reading and Writing. It's Flyers Part 7. Okay, so these are the instructions for this part of Flyers Part 7, and this will be from next year, 2018. So, how many pictures will students see when they do this part? Yes, okay, they'll see 3 pictures. So let's look at some sample pictures for this task. Okay, so we've got 3 pictures in this case, and they show a story. And students are asked to write 20 or more words for the story. Okay, so the first thing for them to understand is what's the story. Now, very often, stories contain a problem or a challenge, and it has to be overcome. If your students can spot the challenge, this will help them understand the story. So what's the problem here in this story? Yes, the problem is the snow. And why is the snow a problem? What can't they do because of the snow? Yeah, James, they can't move the car. Who has an idea? Yeah, the boy is having an idea here. And what's his idea? Yes, he's going to go skiing. Okay. Right, now is the point. I'm going to ask you to get that pen and piece of paper. Okay, and I'm going to ask you to quickly as possible, to write down 10 words that you could use to talk about this picture. Okay, write them on your piece of paper rather than in the chat box, please. Yes, can you write them on your piece of paper? Okay, have you got 10 words, anybody? Great, okay, let's move on to the second picture. And can you write down some words that you could use to talk about this picture? And now this picture. Which words could you use to write about this picture? Okay, now unfortunately I can't ask you all to share your words. Okay, well, we can via the chat box, but we can't do it in the way that we would do it in class. So I'm going to show you my words that I wrote for these pictures. Okay, and I'm sure that a lot of the words I've written will be the same as yours. Yes, I'm sure that some of your words were like my words. Okay, so in class, I would do this with students, get them to think of relevant words to talk about each of the pictures, and then they can look at which pictures maybe appear for all 3 pictures. So for example, in my words here, which words are in all 3 bubbles? Yeah, snow and ski, isn't it? Skis are in several of the bubbles, okay? Okay, so we've got the words, we've got the ones that are the same, the ones that are different. So between pictures 1 and 2, we've got differences in that we can see the outside and the inside of the house. We can't see the man and the boy in picture 1, and we can in picture 2. The same with between pictures 2 and 3, we've got some differences. So again, spotting those differences, the inside, the outside. The boy is standing, he's skiing, he is or isn't wearing his ski boots or his skis. And again, this will give us the language, and it'll also give us the ideas to include in the story. So now that we've got some words to use and we've spotted some differences, we can start to think about sentences to write for this story. So here is a very simple story for these pictures. I haven't used very many of the words that I wrote, and we've already got 29 words. So if you think of the instructions there, write more than 20 words, my advice would be that they should definitely be writing a lot more than 20 words if they can. This simple story is fine, it tells the story, but I'm sure your students could add lots of things to the story to make it better and to use more imagination. One very important thing is to add names. Okay, so we can add names to this story. Okay, so the boy's name is Harry. I've given him the name Harry. And I've said where his house is, and I've said where he's going and where he has to go down the hill. So a good story usually has names and other information. We can also train them to write longer sentences. So they can join sentences together, shorter sentences, with words like because, but, when. They can say when things happened, the order that things happened in. Okay, so do you think your students could add these kinds of words to their stories? Good. I'm glad to hear it, because that's what we can encourage them to do. And we can also make our stories more interesting by adding things that the people are saying or thinking. So in that second picture there, what do you think the man is thinking, and what do you think the boy is thinking? Yes, what shall we do? Oh, yes. Okay, so we can incorporate these things into our stories. We've still got the same basic story, but now we've got what Harry's dad says. Sorry, Harry, I can't drive you to school today because there's too much snow. Or sorry, Harry, I can't drive you to school today. And Harry can have the idea, I know, I'll ski to school. Okay, and I think you'll agree that these incorporations of ideas and things people say make the story a lot more interesting. So here you have some tips for doing this task and for encouraging our students to make their stories more interesting and to use more of the language that they know. These tips will be available in the new Flyers Writing Skills booklet, which will be available to download from the World of Fun website in a few weeks' time. So, have you been watching? Have you been spotting today? I've given you here some clips from the different pictures that I've shown you. Can you remember which picture these things were in and where they were? Which part of the picture they were in? Yeah, the car was at the circus, wasn't it? Yeah, the beach picture had the shells and it had the bananas. Where were the bananas? They were in the beach picture, and where were they? They were at the bottom. Yeah, and were they on the right or on the left? Under the palm tree. On the right, yes. And what were they next to? The man, yes, you spotted it very well today. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to Jenny, who is going to talk to you for a bit, and then I'll be back for questions. Okay?
Okay, that's great. I'm just going to move on. Okay, so while you're thinking about your questions for Anne, you can actually be typing those into the chat as well, so we can start preparing those. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about our official preparation materials. And these are for the revised exams in 2018, so that's from next year. Well, first up we have Kids Box. This is the updated second edition, and it's a 6-level general English course. In this specially updated edition, it now includes official preparation for Cambridge English young learners, and this is validated by our exam assessment team. It also has many features you'd expect from a general English course. There are CLIL projects, social values, phonics, and online practice. And then we have Fun for Starters, Movers and Flyers, 4th edition. And of course, Anne Robinson is a co-author of this popular series. These 3 books work really well alongside a general English course, and they come with online activities for students and a fun vocabulary app. And then we have Story Fun 2nd edition. Now this series has 6 levels in its 2nd edition. There are 2 books for each test. 8 stories per level form the basis for English learning, and this then develops into integrated skills practice, which includes speaking, to prepare students for test tasks. It also now includes a home fun booklet for each level, which helps bridge the gap between home and school and involves parents in their child's learning. Getting some nice comments there about our books. That's great that you're familiar with these. And we also have 3 sets of full colour practice tests for the revised exams, and these are available so young learners can know what to expect on test day. And finally, we've created a World of Fun website. This is worldoffun.cambridge.org. And this is our online hub for information, resources and teaching tips such as videos. It's also the easiest place to find out more about the preparation materials that we've just mentioned. So for any information about any of those courses, you can find it all via World of Fun, which is available now. So now I'll pass you back to Anne for questions and answers.
Hello. I have some questions here that we've taken note of. Okay. So, and just to check, can you hear me again? I hope you can. Great. Fantastic. Just thought I'd better check that. Okay, we have a question. What if they make a mistake with a longer sentence? So this was the movers complete the sentences that we were talking about, writing shorter and longer answers or longer completions of the sentence. My answer to that would be, at this level, they're very likely to make a mistake, even possibly with a shorter minimal sentence that they could write. But that's not a problem, okay? We expect mistakes at this level, at all levels. So I would say that they should always write an answer. That's one thing I always stress with my students and when I'm training teachers, that they should always try and answer all the questions, even if they're not 100% certain of how something is spelt or how something is written, because they can still get a mark. Okay, there will be more marks for longer answers and more ambitious use, if you like, of language, as you've been sharing in the chat box. But they'll always be given credit for answering. So making mistakes shouldn't be something that puts them off answering. They'll be given credit for answering the questions. There was another question. What would happen if students don't understand the word pirate? Good point. Okay, I see lots and lots of young learners doing starters, movers, and flyers tests every year, and inevitably there's always one or two words that some students might not know or might not remember. So again, encouraging them to guess. Okay, if they don't know the word pirate, for example, in that picture, that they can think, well, I know the word clown, I know the word boy, I know the word parrot. So what could the pirate be? Well, it must be the one that I don't know the word for. Okay, so train them maybe to use elimination or to guess, or just simply to write an answer about one of the things in the picture, and they may well get the answer right. So always encouraging to try and answer the questions. To write something. There was another query about where perhaps a website or something where you can get hold of the kind of pictures that I've been using with you today. On your screen, I think you've still got the World of Fun. This website is having things added to it all the time. I just had a quick look at it again yesterday. And was amazed at how many things have been uploaded just since the last time I looked at it 3 days ago, I think it was. So there is where you'll find lots and lots of resources even now, and as we move forward to 2018, even more to support your test preparation and to support your teaching. So you'll find lots of pictures there. I showed you the link to the starters resources for the beach picture activity. And you can find other picture activities and other activities in those resource packs, both for for starters, as we saw, for movers and for flyers. So there you will find some pictures. On the Cambridge Language Assessment website, you'll also find pictures that are used, the kind of pictures that are used in the starters, movers, and flyers tests. So that is where you could start looking, if you like, for the pictures. I'm just going to have a look at the other comments and the other questions. I don't know how if I'm missing any important questions here that I should have answered. I will. I'll be writing 2 articles for the blog on the themes of what we've been doing doing today in this webinar. So I will be sharing more ideas that I didn't have time to use here today, and to be giving you the instructions for these activities. I have a question here. Do you allow using fill in the blanks when it comes to speaking test in the classroom only? I'm not quite sure what is meant by that question, because the speaking test, they will never have to write, so there would never be a fill in the blanks task in the speaking test. The speaking tests are mainly picture based, but they're basically talking in response to pictures. They're also telling stories, picture stories and movers and flyers. So filling in the blanks when it comes to speaking, no, it wouldn't be a task that will be used in the speaking test. Okay, so thank you very, very much for spending time with me today. It's been a pleasure. and you've been fantastic at interacting there in the chat box. And I hope that someday I'll meet a few of you in person.